do have to say the 5 is now 7. We had 2 more born this summer. AJ, first of all, I want to thank you and the Republican Party of Iowa for sponsoring an event that's based on what the Republican Party should be, and that's caring about life. I'm going to speak from the heart today. I'm going to talk a little bit about me and why I am a part of the Right to Life movement, a little bit about Iowa Right to Life, and a little bit about my desires and dreams and aspirations for the movement as a whole. As an individual, I was a 22-year-old woman, senior in college, preparing to take the world on, and I was pregnant. Not married. I felt I had let the entire world down. I let my mom down. I let my stepfather down. Oh, and I let my little sister down. I even let my kindergarten teacher down. That's how I felt about this. It was traumatic. But I had parents who loved the Lord. And those parents taught me the value of life. And because of those parents who taught me the value of life, that 35-year-old tragedy is now a wonderful, blessed 35-year-old young man who is the father to 4 of those 7 grandchildren. The oldest one just turned 6, so that's a busy house. That's what brought me into the movement. I listened to a woman back in the very early 80s who had had an abortion at Iowa Lutheran Hospital when she was just about 6 months along. And it was a saline abortion. And I remember her talking and saying, they told me they were going to take a little fluid out, put a little fluid in, I would have severe cramps, and I would expel the fetus. And she says, now don't tell me that sounded so bad because I bought it. And she said, it wasn't a little fluid in and a little fluid out. She says, I hated myself the moment they came in with the big syringe. I hated myself. And she said, then I went through hours of a baby thrashing in my womb, struggling for her life. And she said, I remember the last kick. It was right here under this rib cage. And then the doctors and the nurses were not there to deliver her child. She delivered her own dead baby. And she said, and I held her in my hands. And she said she was beautiful. And she had all 10 fingers and all 10 toes and a head of hair. She was beautiful, but she was dead. And then they wheeled in another woman to complete the end of her labor, to deliver a live child. She founded an organization called Women Exploited by Abortion. And I will never forget when I heard her speak, because that started my journey. I had people in our church tell me, don't go off half-cocked, you shouldn't talk about that. I spoke to young people's groups, and they wanted to give a red rose. This was a church that did infant baptism. They wanted to give a red rose to the parents to thank them for giving life. And a pastor who said no, because it might offend somebody in the church who had had an abortion. This is what we fight. This is why I am so impassioned about the right to life. The Lord led me to Iowa Right to Life. The Lord may lead you somewhere else. The Lord may lead you to personhood. He may lead you to Iowans for Life. He may lead you to the Family Leader or to Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition. He may lead you to Concerned Women for America. He may lead you someplace else. He led me to Iowa Right to Life. And at Iowa Right to Life, what we believe in is this. We believe that every single unborn child is created in the image of God. And every single unborn child deserves a right to life. But we also believe that we are going to save every single baby we can in every single way we can on the way to saving them all. Now, that being said, I want you to know, and this is my passion for the movement in general. We have differing opinions of things in this room. On process. Not on what we believe about the unborn. On process. You need to go where the Lord leads you. But we all need to realize that those of us in this room who vary in process are more like each other than we are like Planned Parenthood. We are not the enemy. The enemy is the devil. God is the creator of life. The devil is the destroyer of life. That is the enemy. We have to keep our eyes clearly focused on who the enemy is. When we can get ourselves to a point where we understand who the enemy is and that we can find commonality amongst us, that's when we will begin to save babies in Iowa. So, in closing, I'm just going to ask you a few favors. The first favor is I want you, when Rod Blum said that one person can make a difference, I want you to believe that with all your heart. He remembered Schindler. You know who I think of when I think of one person who made the difference? Completely on the other side of things. Madalyn Murray O'Hair. You all know who Madalyn Murray O'Hair is? She's the one woman who took prayer out of public schools. One woman. If one woman who doesn't have the King of Kings on her side can take prayer out of public schools, what can one person in this room do with the Lord and the Creator of the universe on your side? Remember that. One person. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to pray. I want you to pray for every woman who is contemplating an abortion because she is scared. I've been there. I had great parents and I was still scared. Shoot, I called my brother and asked him if he would tell my mom. You know? She's scared. Pray for her. Pray for her courage. Pray for her to walk into your path. Pray for those precious little ones. Pray that the Lord envelops them in His love and protects them. Pray for the movement. Pray for unity. And then the last thing, I want you to pray for those people who are on this other side. I want you to pray for Jill June. I want you to pray for the people who walk into abortion clinics every day. Pray that the Lord touches their heart with His redeeming and saving grace. Because in a couple of months, we're going to have Carol Everett come to Iowa. And for those of you who have been in the movement long enough, know that Carol owned and operated abortion clinics in Dallas, Texas. And she is a believer and a pro-lifer now for one reason. Because people sat outside her clinic and prayed. And then you know what they did every morning? They brought in cookies to the abortion clinic. And they prayed her out of there. And so the last thing I want us all to remember, for those of you who share my passion of the Lord, and I can't assume that all of you know the Lord, but if you do, we need to remember one thing. We have one Great Commission. The Great Commission is go into the world and make disciples. Many of us have callings. My calling is the right to life. Many of you in this room are right to life. Some of you have callings of homeschooling. Some of you have a calling to protect marriage between one man and one woman. But we only have one Great Commission. Let's make sure that as we go out and exercise that calling, that we never, ever do anything to damage the Great Commission. And that means we have to be there in love. Because if people look at us and they say, I don't want to be that, we will never win them to our side in life, and we will never win them to our side in their redemptive power, in God's redemptive power, so that they can spend eternity with us in the Lord. So anyway, I thank you for being here, because this is the cream of the crop. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you, and may God bless.